Welcome. Just a quick tutorial on how I would go about to edit these two images. So this was shot sunset in Bali, Tanah Lot, and so I just was kind of walking around for the first 10-15 minutes just looking for some foreground information, and I found these kind of rock sitting here and here a little bit higher than the surround, so I knew as the waves were coming in they would make some nice foreground information, just kind of lead the viewer through the image. So challenging light is always interesting to shoot, but I knew straight away that I'd be shooting at least 2 images, maybe 3 images to get the dynamic range of what I was seeing, because I knew my camera could not shoot that in one image. And you can see on this first image here, you can see the histogram. So I was seeing this in my camera, so I wasn't too worried about the sky because I knew that was going to blow out. All I was worried about is getting the shadow information. You can see here on this histogram here that it's pretty well spot on. You can see the detail in the shadows here, which I can bring out even further by the shadows and blacks slider. And then several seconds later, as the waves receded, I went in and shot a sky exposure. And you can see that on my histogram. Once again, I just increased my exposure. And we can see that was shot at 1/40th. I think the other one was shot at 1/5. And I made sure that there was no clipping. Actually underexposed this, probably half a stop, even under. But I made sure that I wasn't clipping the sky at all. So I've got a really nice sky shot. I wasn't worried about the foreground. Obviously in this image, this is really blocked out. And if you're only shooting one image, if I just shot this image and started to increase the exposure and the shadows and the blank, there would be quite a bit of noise would come into this image, some artifacts, and you don't want that in the image. You want some nice clean images in case you want to print them. And so yeah, so just look at what you're shooting. If I was shooting behind me, the sun was behind me, I could get away, whatever was behind me, I'd get away with one shot because that would be fairly evenly lit, and I would get away with one shot. But shooting into sunrise, sunset, you can run into problems. So let's come in and just edit these images. So let's edit this one. So what I'm going to come in straight away, I'm just going to come in and pull the highlights down. Okay, it hasn't made a difference, but it's just brought those out, and it's just brought these areas in here just down, not as hot. Let's come in now. Look, I really want to drop my exposure down just a little bit more, just a tad. Okay, and then I'm going to come in and now open my shadows. All right, I'm just going to bring that back, and maybe my blacks. I don't want to flatten the image, but let's just open those up. I can add some contrast to these images later if I want to, once they're combined. Looking good. Texture, no, I'm not going to touch anything. Detail, yep, I'm just going to drop the radius, and let's just do some little bit of basic sharpening. That'll do. I just held the Alt key down to do that, so you can actually see what's black is not sharpened, what white is, so you can come in and do what you want. I shot this at base ISO. There's no noise in this image. Transform. Look, I'm going to come and transform this because this was shot with a 10mm lens, so quite wide. So I'm just going to widen this out. So I'm going to bring my scale, so I've got a bit of canvas to work with, and then I'm going to bring this to the left, my aspect, just to bring this back to what I feel like about there. All right, now calibration. Yep, look, it's quite a warm image, so why don't we just come in and just maybe just a little bit. I'm just looking at the water because obviously I'm going to do the sky, and that's all right. And I do like that, so I'm just pushing those reds up maybe a little bit higher. Okay, looks really good. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to sync everything I've done on this image. I want to sync it to this one here, okay, because the aspect is incorrect because I widened this aspect, so I wanted it to match up. All right, so obviously when I sync this, it's probably going to become a little bit more darker, so that's all right. So once again, highlight both images and just go in and just make sure that's highlight and come over to the bottom right side and you've got sync and reset. So we're going to just sync. So we're going to sync what is done in 187 and we're going to sync everything over to 189. And synchronize setting, I just turn everything on and synchronize it. A couple of seconds, you can see a little box here. Okay, all the adjustments from this image is now into this image. So if I click on that, everything's looking good. The aspect's there. And all I have to do is come back to the basic tab. Everything's the same, but I just want to expose this a little bit more up through the sky. All right. All right, so I'm just thinking this image here to this image here. And I just push the color a little bit more. All right, it's looking good. All right, I'm just actually going to drop some more exposure out of this image here just to calm down just a little bit more. And later on, I might not show you on this technique, but I'd probably come in and just dodge all these highlights just to bring those highlights out. All right, let's have a look. Look, I could come in and just bring some more shadows up so I can see Tunnel Lot a little bit better. That's better. All right. Okay, let's bring this into Photoshop with these both images of the Photoshop. They're both highlighted. Okay, so I'm just going to right click on the first one, edit in, and come all the way down to the bottom to open layers in Photoshop. Okay, that'll take a couple of seconds. So there's my sky image and there's my foreground image. All right, now I work with when I'm blending a sky to a foreground, I always like the sky image on top. So I just left click and drag and drop that up. So now I've got my foreground and then I'll turn that back on. I've got my sky. So let's come and blend this in and see how well it goes. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and come down below the layers, these images. You'll see a little like camera here. That is the mask button. So while you're holding down the Alt key, it's going to give me a black mask. If it didn't hold the Alt key, it'd give me a white mask. Okay. So you can go Control Z to go backwards. So if you made a mistake, just Control Z. So I'm just going to hit that. And all I'm going to do now is choose my brush. I'm going to come in now and do some brush work. So make sure you can hit the B key. Shortcut is for brushes for B. And make sure your foreground color is white. Okay. Okay, you can change that by the little arrow or a shortcut key. Would that be X? You can change those foreground colors. So I'm going to paint white with the brush and reveal the sky. So I'm just going to grab my pen and I've got my opacity at 20. Look, I'm going to come up to, look, let's go 70%. My flow's at 100. That's all right. Make sure you are on the mask. You don't want to be on the image. That little white box around. You just want to make sure that you're painting on the correct. And just come in. Now I'm going to use my bracket key, right bracket key, just to bring my brush up. And let's just paint that sky in. So already the sky is looking absolutely fantastic. It's not burnt out there. And only took me a couple of seconds to change my shutter speed to get the correct sky exposure. All right, so we're just going to come in and just paint that through. And we can go in and I think it's the backslash key, backslash, and it shows you a mask. So what's red is not painted out or not revealed. So we want to make sure that we have a clear. So I know that I've painted everything all that sky in. All right, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to hit that backslash. Now, if you zoom in, you can see I don't have any black lines around. That looks really good because I made sure when I exposed the tone a lot, they were very similar. So that looks really good. Okay, so that's basically how, and if you hit the Alt key, you can click on that and make sure that, you know, you can come in and make sure everything's kind of, you know, done correctly. If you think you've missed something, hit the Alt key again and click on that. So that's how you'd blend our sky into a foreground image. So hopefully that helps somebody. And I was actually looking for this image. I'm pretty sure this could be the first time I've actually done this one, but I do have one on my website that's completed, and it was done. This was shot maybe a bit earlier, I think it was, or maybe a bit late. I can't remember, but this is kind of finished image. So I'll just bring that in, and if I blow that up, you can see they're very similar. I was probably over to the left here. So you did a bit of dodging in the water. Yep. So what you can do with your images is quite amazing. Shoot raw, make sure you've got everything that you want correctly exposed and bring those in. So hopefully that just helps a landscape photographer maybe starting, and you want just a technique that maybe you can start off with. It's quite an easy technique to do. So hopefully that just helps somebody. So thanks for watching.